Right now, there's no organization on the planet that proves this point more than the WNBA. The league just posted its highest average game viewership in 24 years.
You won't believe this. The WNBA just went from breaking attendance record to being on the brink of bankruptcy, all because one player left. How can a whole league collapse over one person? Let's break down this insane situation. Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation, was like a human highlight reel. She brought in crowds, sold merch, and had everyone talking about women's basketball. But now that she's gone, it's like someone turned off the lights at the party. The league's in free fall, and no one saw it coming. But you know what's crazier? This isn't just about losing a star player. There's way more going on behind the scenes.
This is a principle that doesn't just apply to individuals, it turns out. It applies to organizations too. Unearned fame and fortune are far more destructive than they might appear. And
we're gonna dive into all the drama, the money problems, and maybe even figure out how to save the WNBA. So here's the big question. How did one player become so important that her leaving could shake an entire professional league to its core? Stick around, because we're about to find out. Let's rewind to before Caitlin Clark entered the league. Empty seats, financial losses, and a struggle for relevance. Now picture this, games moving to bigger arenas, viewership records shattered, and a cultural shift around women's basketball. How did one rookie flip the script so dramatically? The WNBA was in trouble. Low viewership, empty arenas, and a league struggling to stay afloat.
Clark was the first one in the tunnel. Her long year of basketball over. She was chosen #1 in the WNBA draft last night. We saw Caitlin Clark take the last shot of her season, one that ended with an 87-81 loss to the Sun in Game 2 of the first round of the playoffs, and took a team that had won 30 combined games over the previous 4 years to its first playoff berth since 2016. Clark had a rookie record-setting year. Here she is.
Then came Caitlin Clark. This rookie didn't just join a team, she breathed new life into the entire league. Clark's impact was immediate and explosive. The Indiana Fever saw a mind-blowing 265% increase in attendance. That's not a typo, 265%. Suddenly, the Gainbridge Fieldhouse was packed. We're talking over 186,000 fans during the season, with 8 out of 11 home games completely sold out. This wasn't just a slight bump, it was a seismic shift. But it wasn't just about filling seats. Clark became a cultural phenomenon. Her jersey sales skyrocketed. That's not just fans, that's a movement. People who never cared about women's basketball were suddenly glued to their screens, wearing Clark's number and talking about the WNBA at work. Speaking of screens, the TV ratings went through the roof. Clark's playoff series drew record viewership. We're talking 1.8 million viewers for the first game and 2.1 million for the second. To put that in perspective, these numbers beat any WNBA finals ratings in history. Let that sink in for a second. And it gets even crazier. On June 23rd, 2024, Clark's game against the Chicago Sky hit a peak of 3.3 million viewers. That's not just a good night for women's basketball, that's a historic moment for the entire sport. Clark's impact was so massive that teams had to scramble to find bigger arenas. Imagine that. A league that was struggling to fill seats suddenly had to upgrade to larger venues just to meet the demand.
All right, Caitlin finally getting a moment to breathe, right? As she just mentioned, didn't even get to reflect it all on her college career and just jumped right into things and had an epic season.
And it took a combination of things, both on and off the court. Off the court, attendance, viewership. On the court, breaking the single season scoring record or the all-time scoring record in college.
It's like going from playing in your backyard to headlining Madison Square Garden overnight. But here's the thing, Clark wasn't just a player. She became the face of women's basketball. She brought in fans who'd never watched a WNBA game before. She made people care about a league that was on the brink of being forgotten. Think about it this way. Before Clark, the WNBA was like a party that nobody wanted to attend. After Clark, it was the hottest ticket in town. She didn't just improve the league, she transformed it. Remember those packed arenas and sky-high ratings? Gone. The WNBA's meteoric rise with Clark crashed back to earth faster than anyone expected. How did a league that was on top of the world suddenly find itself fighting for survival? The aftermath of Clark's departure hit the WNBA like a freight train. Ratings plummeted overnight. Those sold-out arenas, now they're echoing with emptiness. It's like someone flipped a switch, turning off the excitement Clark brought to the game. But it's not just about empty seats. The financial impact is hitting players hard. Some are even thinking about playing overseas because the WNBA salaries just aren't cutting it anymore. Imagine going from being part of a cultural phenomenon to wondering if you can make ends meet. That's the reality for many WNBA players right now. The league's scrambling to keep things afloat. They're cutting salaries, even for the biggest stars. It's like they're trying to patch a sinking ship with Band-Aids. These desperate moves are affecting everyone, from the rookies to the veterans. You know what's really telling? The mood in the league is like a birthday party with no cake. All the excitement, all the energy Clark brought, it's gone. Players are showing up, but the spark's missing. Fans are feeling it too. do. They're choosing to stay home instead of coming to game. It's a far cry from the electric atmosphere we saw just a short while ago. The financial crisis is real and it's hitting hard. The league's facing potential bankruptcy. That's not just a rough patch, that's a full-blown disaster. How did things unravel so quickly? It's like the WNBA built this amazing house of cards with Clark as the foundation, and when she left, the whole thing came crashing down. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about losing a star player. It's about a league that put all its eggs in one basket. They banked everything on Clark's star power, and now they're paying the price. The WNBA's previous success, with packed arenas and merchandise flying off the shelves, has disappeared almost overnight. Think about it. Clark wasn't just a player for the WNBA. She was the player, the lifeline that kept the league breathing. Without her, it's like the air's been sucked out of the room. Even the most dedicated fans are having second thoughts about showing up to games. The league's in panic mode. They're trying everything to keep the lights on, but it's like trying to stop a flood with a paper towel. The financial fallout is so severe that it's affecting every aspect of the WNBA. From player salaries to game production, everything's getting cut. What's really mind-blowing is how fast it all happened. One minute, the WNBA is riding high on the Clark wave. The next, they're drowning in financial trouble. It's a stark reminder of how fragile success can be, especially when it's built around one person. So, where does the WNBA go from here? Can they recover from this free fall, or is this the beginning of the end? The league's facing some tough questions, and the answers aren't looking too promising right now. Just when everyone's ready to write off the WNBA, there's a twist. The league's darkest hour might just be the perfect time for a total reinvention. What would it take to build a WNBA that's stronger, more exciting, and immune to the departure of any one player? First things first, the WNBA needs to stop putting all its eggs in one basket. Relying on a single star player like Caitlin Clark is like building a house on sand. Sure, it looks great for a while, but one big wave and it's all gone. The league needs to spread the love and create a whole team of fan favorites. So how do we do that? It's all about marketing, baby. The WNBA needs to step up its game and make every player a household name. Imagine if fans were just as hyped about the entire roster as they were about Clark. That's the kind of engagement that keeps people coming back, even when one player leaves. But it's not just about the players. The WNBA needs to get creative with its content. We're talking behind the scenes footage, player vlog, interactive fan experiences, the whole shebang. Give fans a reason to tune in beyond just the game itself. Make them feel like they're part of something bigger. Now, let's talk money. The salary situation in the WNBA is a mess, and it's driving players overseas faster than you can say passport. The league needs to figure out how to pay its players what they're worth. Maybe that means finding new revenue stream, like partnerships with tech companies or expanding into new markets. Whatever it is, it needs to happen fast. Speaking of new markets, the WNBA needs to get local, like really local. We're talking grassroots campaigns, community outreach, the works. Get those players out there meeting fans, hosting clinics, and becoming hometown heroes. When a team feels like it belongs to a city, that's when you start seeing real loyalty. But here's the real kicker. The WNBA needs to innovate or die. They can't just copy the NBA playbook and expect it to work. What if they experimented with new game formats or created interactive experiences that blur the line between watching and playing? The possibilities are endless, and that's exactly what the league needs right now. Endless possibilities. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but where's the money coming from? Fair question. The WNBA needs to get creative with its revenue streams. Maybe that means partnering with streaming platforms for exclusive content, or creating a fantasy league that actually pays out, or even exploring esports tie-in. The point is, there are ways to make money that don't rely on ticket sales alone. But let's not forget the most important part of all this, the fan. The WNBA needs to make every game feel like an event. We're talking halftime shows, interactive contests, maybe even celebrity guest appearances. Give people a reason to show up beyond just watching the game. Make it an experience they can't get anywhere else. And here's a wild idea. What if the WNBA leaned into its uniqueness instead of trying to be a carbon copy of the men's league? Embrace the differences, celebrate them, and use them as a selling point. There's room for more than one type of basketball in this world. The truth is, the WNBA's current crisis could be the best thing that ever happened to it. It's a chance to rebuild from the ground up, to create something that's not just sustainable, but truly exciting. Imagine a league where every player is a star, every game is an event, and fans are just as invested in the 10th player on the bench as they are in the top scorer. All right, let's wrap this up. We've seen the WNBA go from breaking records to nearly breaking down, all because of one player. But you know what? This mess might be exactly what women's basketball needed. Sure, losing Caitlin Clark exposed some big problems, but it's also a chance to fix things that have been broken for a long time. The WNBA can't just rely on one superstar anymore. They need to make every player a fan favorite and get creative with how they make money. Here's the thing. The future of women's basketball isn't just about the league. It's about all of us, fans, players, everyone. We've got a chance to build something amazing here. So let's not just sit back and watch. Get out there, support your local team, and be part of making women's basketball bigger and better than ever.